Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on another episode of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, I want to introduce y'all to a couple of our sponsors. The Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organizations. Players play to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film or to try for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors will have been on a quest in their times to give players second chances since 2017. Wherever you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you've been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media at SoCal Warriors on Twitter, on Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and on Facebook, Southern California Warriors. Background Check International. Are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Kit has founded and managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with your screening process. Contact Kit and let him help you make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not used for any crimes such as identity theft or any other illegal activity. You can find it on social media on Facebook at Background Check International, BCI, or us on the website, bcint.com. Now on to the show. Welcome to another episode of Fast Break. In today's episode, we'll discuss who's the better team between Phoenix and Golden State after Friday's matchup, the Warriors or the Phoenix Suns. Plus, what's going on with John Wall and the Rockets? He wants to play. They want to buy him out. Got a long standoff there. We'll discuss options there with both parties involved. Plus, we'll discuss other news around the league. Also, are the Bulls the best team in the East after defeating the Nets the other night? Also, in the college world of things, who's the best team in the college basketball after this past weekend's matchup between Alabama and Gonzaga? Is it Alabama? Is it Gonzaga? Is it Purdue or somebody else? We'll discuss that more on Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of things to discuss in the world of basketball. A lot of big news and stuff going around that got a lot of ramifications going on in college sports and all that stuff. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, man. A very busy weekend in college, both football and basketball. You had a hell of a day yesterday. I'll let you explain. I'll let you explain more and talk about it. But great weekend overall.
Yes, great weekend overall. If you're an Alabama fan out there, then you deserve your roses. Alabama kicked butt in the SEC championship against Georgia, where they won the SEC championship again over them. Plus, the basketball team, 30 minutes later, handled their business against Gonzaga and Seattle. We'll discuss that matchup later on, but both squads doing their thing like supposed to. So we kind of see the benefits, just real quick, of Alabama football kind of trickling down to basketball, in which Nate Oates kind of said he wanted to do with that basketball program. Use that football program as my biggest asset. And kind of reaping the rewards the past couple years. So, we'll discuss that later on. But D-Lock, Golden State, Phoenix, arguably the best two teams in the league, some might say.
I believe, first of all, we've seen Devin Booker put up no loss November, I believe it was, after they beat Golden State.
Yep.
So they're showing what they are. I believe he got hurt. I think it was either that game or the game after. And then, to be, or you had to pick somebody to win the most valuable player right now, I would have to say Steph Curry. There's a couple other guys that you probably could put in that category, but with Giannis being out a couple games and Golden State looking so damn well, I would have to pick Steph. That's just, guaranteed for me right now. Draymond is looking like a hell of a player too. He's playing a big role with them. Otto Porter is looking like a great pickup for them as well. So for me, I think these two teams match up very well. But again, Phoenix is they're very deep when it comes to their roster. They got a lot of guys in that team. You got Cameron Johnson, who's looking like a great player off the bench for them, comes in for Jay Crowder. Frank Kaminsky is looking like a hell of a player when he gets in, and DeAndre Ayton is looking like a monster as well. And also, they're the depth at the guard position as well with Landry Shamet and Cam Payne, who we remember him having a hell of a playoff season, a playoff run last year. So for me, it'd be very hard to pick between these teams as far as if they were to have a series. I think it does go down to 7 though. So I like both of these teams. It's really hard to pick, man. Like they're both having a hell of a season so far. But it's probably leading really as well.
Man, with Devin Booker after hamstring injury, it kind of hurt things for the Suns. And with him out, you don't get the other shot creator along with Chris Paul. They try. I mean, Cameron Payne. God bless him, but ain't no way D-Lock he should be taking. D-Lock, when I found out Devin Booker wasn't playing Friday night on FanDuel, I was like, damn, dude, you just chucking up shots. That's a really... Come on. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, all right. I think we're good. But anyways, like I was mentioning, it could come down to these two teams in the West Conference Finals. Like you mentioned about the Clippers. Without Kawhi, the Clippers could make a run back to the Western Conference Finals, but I don't foresee that happening. The Jazz, can they figure some things out? Because that roster is a lot older and they really had made no big additions to kind of separate themselves. The Lakers, I don't know, man. I don't know about the Lakers. It's like...
It's a toss-up. That's what it is.
It's a toss-up. I don't know which way the wind blows. They play good one game, then play bad the next couple games. But it seems like these two teams are head and shoulders ahead of everybody else in this conference. So as long as they stay healthy, these two teams, sky's the limit in my eyes.
I believe the same. I feel like both of these teams are the cream of the crop. They're the best, in the West. Obviously, we would love to see the Lakers come up and do something about that. But for me, I really feel like these two teams are top notch, and that's just what it is right now. That's fine. Now, maybe the Lakers do make a big move once they adding their key players like a Kendrick Nunn, like a Trevor Reeves, all these other guys. But even when they get them, I think the Warriors are still going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, what that part is to me. I feel like they're still going to cause major issues. So, understanding that, like, it's going to be problems for, most teams when they have to face the Suns or the Warriors. And the Warriors just look like the team that's ready to just like take over right now. So for me, again, it's a toss-up between these two. I would love to see these two teams in the playoffs facing against each other. Like you said, it could go down to either one of them to represent the West in the NBA Finals.
And if you're a team like the Clippers and Lakers, you don't want to fall in that 7-8 and be in that playoff again and possibly see one of those two teams again in the first round. You don't want that. So, for those examples, those two teams, you got to stay above 6. Just look at the standings now. Lakers are 12-12. The Clippers are 12-12. Tied for 5th. You got to stay in that range for the rest of the season. We'll see how the Grizzlies stay in the top 4 with John Morant out for the time being with his knee sprain. But if you stay in that 4 to 5 range, you're good. Because the way these two teams have been playing this year, like Marcus mentioned in the chat, Golden State has a clear path to the finals. And also, I'll contend with that, Marcus. Even Phoenix, they got a good chance for going back to the finals. So, if you're in that 7 to 10 range, you don't want to see either one of these teams in the first round. And I think if Golden State and Phoenix see, any team in the first round, it could be a 4-0 sweep in my eyes. I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Again, I get ahead of myself. But the way they've been playing and stuff like that, and the way some of these other teams have been playing, like a Portland, for example, with Damian Lillard, as kind of like he kind of taking a step back for this year, in a sense. And then like a Minnesota, for example, if the trio ain't scoring 20 plus, then they not winning no games. Those teams won't see no Phoenix and Golden State in the first round D-Lock. They get swept.
And that's my thing. Like, if you look at those teams, like, they're like at the top of the top notch right now. So, you have other options clearly, but for me, I just feel like these two teams probably can walk through the whole division. So, again, like I said, it's something that we have to monitor. But, I mean, honestly, and that's another thing I meant to do too, and I definitely will do. We got to go back and listen to like our first, go back and listen to you guys, listen to our first couple of shows and see what we were saying regarding which team, as far as the order that we had them to play well and take over the West in each division and the East as well, because the season is in full effect now, and we're starting to see how expectations are going for each team. So the Suns are clearly picking up where they left off last year. The Warriors, in a sense, are leaning a lot on Steph Curry. Jordan Poole, I think you said earlier that you had him being the most improved player of the year.
Well, I kind of have him and Damian Lee kind of be more of that key role players for them. I think we discussed last year, maybe I kind of hope they take the leap last year, but that didn't happen. But this year, especially Jordan Poole, kind of was taking that leap of being a very solid NBA guard, and so much so that when Klay Thompson comes back, one of the things that we had talked about, we had people in the media talk about the Warriors before. Besides that, starting core, their bench depth as well. We talk about the Sean Livingston, RJ Iguodala, Maurice Spates, and others. Now, a couple years down the road now, Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, Otto Porter, like you mentioned. And, I kind of wish they'd give more time to the rookies, in my opinion. They got to get them more playing time, get some more growth out of them. But I think, they got a little patience they can play with for a year. But I say this, D-Lock. One thing that Steve Kerr, if the Warriors going to take it all, you can't handicap James Wiseman when he comes back for injury.
Yeah.
You got to let him play. You got to play through his struggles, and let him play. If he can be that difference maker down low for y'all, if he can be that person that kind of takes the pressure off DeAndre Ayton, quote unquote, if you mean the playoffs, that'll go a long way for y'all to solidify yourselves, making out the Western Conference and challenge whoever comes out the East.
That'd be big.
Because Wiseman's your future. You kept that second overall pick for a reason. You could easily trade it for another superstar to kind of bring back in the fold. Let the kid play. That's all I got. That's all I got to say about that.
Give him his chance and put him in, because you're expecting Kevin Looney to do a lot, but that's like you said. That's one piece I should have added on to was Klay Thompson and Wiseman. You bring them back, they're going to be a tough team to deal with. But hell, I mean, even to pivot off of that and talk about the Broncos, Phoenix Suns, having a Cam Johnson, a Jay Crowder, a Frank Kaminsky, a DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Cameron Payne. Got to see how long Devin Booker's going to be out. Like you said, it does hurt the fact that he is. This kind of stuff shows how much depth that this team has. Remember, before the NBA Finals against Milwaukee last year, I actually believe might have had them winning, but they got out to that hot start. Remember, they started out winning the first two games.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're not talking about a team that can't get it done. That's not, that can't cause issues. They were already set to cause big issues for any team. It just, that alone, coming back with that same chemistry, I think they're going to be better. So, both of these teams, it's very interesting to see both of these teams play. Like the first game, Steph, he had a bad shooting game that game.
Yeah, he did.
So, that was the one that he, struggled in. And I believe Draymond was kind of hard to get Draymond connected as well. But now you look at it and it's like, oh, okay, come back and play each other again the following week or a couple days later with different results. So that tells you that, this is not they'll sweep these guys. and get to the next round and sweep these guys and get to the next, get to the NBA Finals. Like,
we'll see how these two teams go about things, and and can they keep this play up, for the rest of this month and head into like close to the trade deadline. The Suns got the Spurs on Monday, and the Warriors got the Magic on Monday as well, both at home. So Spurs may give the Suns a run, but the Warriors should handle the Magic pretty easily. Sorry to do that.
I'll say this now, even though I shouldn't have said it. For anybody that's playing FanDuel, I think me and Davidson definitely about going to do it on Monday. Make sure you pick the guards against the Magic. So make sure you have Steph Curry. Make sure you have Jordan Poole. Hell, you can go get Chioza. Because what happens is, and Andrew Wiggins for that matter, guards, they play pretty well against Orlando. As much as I hate to say it, but realistically they do. So I don't see that game being too close. I'm not expecting it to be, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there on Monday with those two squads. But kind of transition to the East real quick, D-Lock. The Chicago Bulls. Saturday, they beat the Nets by 4. Chicago, one of the major stories in the NBA so far this season, with the additions of DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. Really kind of turned the table for this franchise. They're playing great ball. DeRozan, one could argue, is maybe having a career year. Maybe. I mean, he has some solid years surrounded, but I don't know. For some reason, this year's feel different. To go along with Zach LaVine, who had 31 points in that matchup, 29 for DeRozan. Lonzo almost having a triple-double. Are the Bulls the best team in the East in your eyes? Or you give that title to somebody else? I think the Bulls are, in my humble opinion.
So if I'm looking at the Bulls, right? They have DeRozan's playing out of his mind right now. Lonzo, the Alex Caruso picks or signings. They just had a very good game against the Nets. I believe they might be 2-0 against them. Or did they lose to them the first game? I have to double check on that. But at this point, I would have to agree with you. This team is it's clear. We talked about it, I believe, like, what was it? Probably last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, they went into the offseason wanting to fix the defense. They, first of all, before the season was over, they went and got Vooch in the trade for both teams. And then they went and got Lonzo and Caruso. Then they went and got DeRozan. So they have a very solid team. Before this, you already had your scorer in Zach LaVine. Like, you already had the guy that was gonna get you the points when you need it. But now you mess around and went and got you some defense and some scores. Like, I was watching the game, the Bulls and Nets game, and when Durant would pop a three, Lonzo Ball came back and drained one. So it was a back and forth thing to where the Bulls are not backing down. So for me, it was a show that this team can compete with anybody. Now, I ain't gonna lie, like, this year so far, there's been a few teams that has played very good on the Eastern Conference so far this year. You see what the Wizards are, right?
Yeah, the Wizards have really surprised me.
Yeah, like, Kuzma looked like this. Let's say this. He looks like another Los Angeles Laker that leaves and plays great somewhere else. That's what he's looking like right now. So he's playing exceptionally well. Or he's playing very good, actually. They're fourth in the East right now. Milwaukee, 15-9. Okay, we know what they are. Both Nets and Bulls at the top, 16-7 and 16-8. So for me, you have some teams that look very, very, they're looking pretty good this year so far. But did they play? If I'm not mistaken, they played the Warriors earlier this season.
Yeah.
And that was a tight game for a minute, and then the Warriors kind of, pulled away a little bit. But again, we're talking about the best team, one of the better teams in the NBA right now, not a team at the bottom. So for me, yes, I totally agree with that. I feel like, we hear the James Harden. We hear James Harden. We hear Kevin Durant. We hear Patty Mills and all these guys. But man, the Bulls stepped up big time against them, and they're looking like they're going to be a team to reckon with moving forward.
I think, the Bulls are part of the best team in the East. It's tough because, with Brooklyn, Harden really, I don't know. I don't say find his footing. I mean, stat-wise, he's been playing well, but it's not like the explosive numbers we've been seeing for him for the past few years. And now, since he ain't getting these calls like he's been used to, his scoring production has gone down a bit. Now, granted, yes, he's been handling the point guard duties with Kyrie being out. But we seen, with Phoenix, not Phoenix, down in Houston with D'Antoni, even with him handling the ball most of the time, he still got his numbers, scoring-wise especially. But, looking at the stat line, Millsap come off the bench, had 13 and 7 for them. Bruce Brown had 12 rebounds for them off the bench. So, and it seemed like Steve Nash is still trying to tinker with lineups with this squad. Nicholas Claxton, I thought maybe he'll probably break out and be the starting center for them, but that kind of fell off real quick. And they've been leaning on the veteran group a lot, They've been starting Patty Mills here for the past couple of games. But this team definitely needs Kyrie, and to kind of really flesh out the roster, flesh out James Harden's max ability and all that. Until then, teams like the Bulls may give him fits. Milwaukee will give him fits. Marcus is saying in the chat, D-Lock, maybe the Pels messed up not keeping line. I think, they still need some depth down low. I thought, with Boogie Cousins signing with the Milwaukee Bucks, like a couple weeks ago or something around there, I thought maybe
that was a good pickup.
That was a good pickup for them. And I figured, y'all need some size down low. Why not pick him up for depth and stuff like that behind Vooch? Because Tony Bradley ain't going to do it. And after Tony Bradley, you got basically a bunch of small forwards. All that stuff right now. So, and Vooch, he's been playing okay, but kind of wish his scoring numbers was up a little bit. If he get that 19-20 range, that'd be a great thing for them. And I think that would go a long way for them, kind of flesh out their scoring a little bit more. And you got to be so dependent on DeRozan and Levine. Vooch, can come in and carry his load as well. It's fine for him being the third option, but I'd like to see his scoring numbers go up a little bit, in my humble opinion.
My thing is, he's going to get, like you said, his numbers have to get up or have to go up. They got a lot of shooters over there, too, though. That's the only thing is, DeRozan's going to get his shots, so is Zach LaVine. So for me, I do see that as being something that is going to play a part. But they're going to mix that in, especially when it comes to, later on down the season. Did he just get off the COVID list, too?
Yep, he did.
Yeah, so now they had Tony Bradley playing for a little bit. And the biggest question now, like I said, is what do you do with Kobe White?
I mean, you still play him.
Yeah. But do you keep him and put him in that rotation? Because now he's going to take minutes from somebody. That's the question that I'm still kind of, trying to wonder. Like, are they going to keep that same, rotation that they had, or are they going to put Kobe White in? So, but again, this team has a lot. Now, clearly, we know what the James Harden and Kevin Durant can do, and clearly this team does look different without Kyrie Irving. But I like what the Bulls are doing. It's just that, can we see this on a consistent basis? And also, clearly it's early, but we want to see what happens when they get in the playoffs, when that opportunity arises. That's going to be very important.
Yes, very important indeed. And, for Kobe White, I think, when he's come back, he's playing pretty well. So I think you still keep him in rotation and just go from there. I mean, you're not getting great scoring from Lonzo. I thought he'd be averaging a little bit more points than he has averaged so far this season. But, I think you sign more for his defense and, other attributes. But for Kobe White, I think if you come in, just be that scorer, dish well and somebody plays good sound defense, I think that'll go a long way for this team. Because, like I said, Caruso ain't going. He's not. I mean, he can score, but he's known for his defense. Getting on the fast break, getting his points that way. Kobe White, a little bit different. So I think you need that balance between those three guards. And with Kobe White, I think he should still be in the mix of rotation when he gets back from COVID protocols.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like I said, the Bulls, they're just. I think I told you I liked them. When we were doing the division previews, I like what the Bulls are putting together, and I thought they were going to be pretty well. So, being the fact that they're playing as good is not as shocking. They do got a big game coming up tomorrow against Denver.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens around that game. You do have Cleveland and then Miami coming around the corner. So, they got a couple of games coming up, and they got the Lakers, a week before Christmas. So, and if you remember correctly, they beat them in November. They beat them. So, I mean, the Bulls right now are one of the better teams right now. In fact, they did play Denver as well earlier this season, and they beat them as well. So, right now for me, I'm liking what Chicago is bringing. They can just keep this same energy moving forward. This team is going to be very tough to deal with for anybody. I think they have a little bit of depth as well, just not at the big area. You're looking at a Derrick Jones, and Javonte Green. So they have a couple guys in rotation. I had even forgot they got Troy Brown over there. We know if he get the minutes, he can be, a pretty decent player too. So I like the Bulls, man. Like, and it's crazy to see them make a huge turnaround just that fast.
Yeah.
Like, that's just something to really, be like, damn, like, that was a huge, like, change just that quick. So, double check and see. Yeah, they were, 22 and 43 last year. So at the bottom of the East. Now they're just like at the top of the East. So, I mean, I wish my Magic could do something like that, but it's good to see a team make, that drastic change. It's also good to see in the NBA the Bulls being a contending team in the East.
And we know Chicago sports need that right now because the rest of them are boo-boo right now. Speaking of boo-boo, D-Lock, John Wall. We talked about in the preview series, I pointed out this point. The only reason I came up to the conclusion, you're rebuilding. You got a drafting young guard in Jalen Green. You got Kevin Porter in the fold. You try and get those young guys those minutes. Totally understand that. Now we kind of seeing reports saying that they want to buy him out, but Wall don't want to do that and loses, I think, $90+ million that he has left on his contract. What should the Rockets do in this situation? John Wall wants to play and stuff like that. The Rockets are clearly in tank mode. And with these group of draft prospects potentially coming in next year's draft, like a Michael Baldwin, the Paulo kid from Duke. I feel like I'm missing a couple others, but you get where I'm going with that. What should the Rockets do, in your humble opinion? Well, are you still there, D-Lock?
Yes, you can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, yeah. So I was saying, why change that at this point? I mean, you've already committed to not playing them. So why all of a sudden change this feeling now, wanting to play, okay, cool. But, like, why in the middle of the season, like, this all of a sudden has to change? Hell, it ain't like they playing any better. Like, it ain't like they at the top of the West right now. Like, no, like, just keep it the same, man. There's no reason to try to change too much of what's going on at this moment. I wouldn't even try to bother too much as far as change that, because now it's setting, confusion. And now you're having, like you said, you have all these different, guys that's going to come here in the future that you're looking at options. I like what you have with Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green is going to be one of the better players in the NBA. Kevin Porter clearly is going to be a good player as well. And you got Christian Wood. So you got you a nice group. Just build from it. I mean, at this point, like, just build onto that. You're going to go through the growing pains, and that's okay. It's about staying committed to, those type of decisions. Changing that is not going to help anything at all.
If you look, the Paulo Pachero forward from Duke. When I talked last week about that Gonzaga Duke matchup, when he went out for the dehydration for the knee or whatever was going on with him. Duke looked kind of lost without him on the court. And when he's in the game, things just, went so smooth for Duke offensive wise. And he's looking clear cut, my number one overall draft prospect. 6'10" forward, they can play inside out, handle the ball, shoot the ball very well. I think if you're Houston, you can't let that type of potential slip away from you. Because if John Wall plays, he could win you a few games that kind of knock you out of position. And a lot of your odds are not better like it used to be. So you got to think about that.
Correct. That's true.
And another kid, it kind of hit to me. Jaden Hardy, guard, who's playing the G League. I don't think they'll draft another guard, so if they get that top overall pick, Paulo should be the pick. And I think Jayden Bradley's going to be another look for them. Jarabi Smith from Auburn. That's another name. Another, 6'10", 6'9", 6'10" type of forward that could do all those same things like Paulo does. He's another interesting name that you can look at. I mentioned about Michael Baldwin, plays for Milwaukee, University of Milwaukee. 6'10". He went 6 for 6 this past Saturday, against Morehead State. And those guys right there, that's your top 4 right now. Now, some people are trying to hop in and say, well, what about Chet Holmgren? D-Lock, I said this about Chet Holmgren. The 2 games, the big matchup games, I fully watched with him. Especially the last one, more fresh in my mind, Alabama and Gonzaga. He'll play in the league, but I don't know if he'll last, if that makes sense. Because if any of y'all watched that game last night between Bama and Gonzaga, that second half, he didn't play too much. And y'all have watched Nate Oates in Alabama. Once they go small, that's the death lineup. And D-Lock, with the way the NBA has gone the past few years, with smaller lineups and stuff like that, can this dude hang with that? Can he stay on the court on that when the team's going with smaller lineups? If you go against the Warriors, if you got Draymond Green at center, can Chet Holmgren hang with that? If you play the Milwaukee Bucks, can Chet Holmgren hang with Giannis playing at center? And we know Giannis is going to just come at you. The Nets, if they go like a small lineup and put KD at center, can he hang with that?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there watching that game against Alabama. I was like, where's he at? We're this guy that, y'all got away from the Midwest to come to Spokane. Where's this guy at? His shooting needs some working on. I thought he was a better shooter than what he presented in high school, but I thought he was a little better. But on past games like Duke and then this game, his shooting got to be a little bit better. And I think also in that game, D-Lock, the NBA world got introduced to J.D. Davidson. you want to talk about a young, fast, athletic guard. He reminds me a lot of Russell Westbrook, but he can shoot better. And we know with Russ, and we talked about with Russ in the past, D-Lock, if his shooting is consistent, he's a world beater, but sometimes he can shoot you out of the game. The hair flowing, dunking the ball, playing great. Jayden Shackelford was on fire for Alabama. And that first half, when they got to that big lead, that was very key for them to win that game. And if y'all was watching that second half, like I said, Holmgren didn't play that much. Gonzaga got favorable calls. You can give Gonzaga fits. And we saw that what Baylor did to them when they beat them for the national championship. Not terribly too big, but can hang with them and stuff like that. And you can do some things against them. Drew Timme, he got no mid-range game at all. I was just like, I'm not saying the Zags be in trouble, but I think you can beat them easily, in my humble opinion. But having said all that, D-Lock, after this game this past Saturday, who do you think is the top in the college basketball world?
He's in a top player right now.
Well, top team in a sense, like Purdue, maybe Gonzaga still keep everybody fresh in mind. Duke, maybe. I don't know. Kansas.
If I had to pick right now, that's a tough one.
It's tough.
I feel like the thing about, I think a lot of times what we do get confused with, or a lot of people is, we try to compare college basketball and college football the same, right? We try to say, well, if the number one team loses in college football, then they're done. Like, they should drop all the way down, 4 or 5 slots, or hell, even lower. But that's not the same for basketball, right? The season is a lot longer. They're gonna, they have more top 5 matches than there is in college football. Like, we were just talking about it, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how many top 10 matches we were going to see. So you're going to always, see those matchups. So at different games. Now, everybody that's been watching, the NCAA tournament, we know about the Cinderella teams that are out there. Bama could be one of the teams that could make a long push later on down the season, and they're showing that they can play with the Gonzaga. Mm-hmm. So that's really what the season that you kind of find when it comes to college basketball is, you're going to have these matchups where it's going to be great matchups, and you're thinking, well, damn, okay, the number one team, they have to win this game. Yes, that sounds good, but some of these teams that they're going to face, they're going to be kind of tough to deal with. Like a lot of us, we see it as a big upset that Gonzaga loses to Bama, but we know that Bama has a Timme, they have a J.D. Davidson, they have a couple of these guys that could, make a team a hell of a lot better. So for me, UCLA is still in the running. You know what I'm saying? Texas is still one of the better teams.
Yeah.
I still like what Duke holds. Remember, them and Duke and Gonzaga were basically locked up until the end. So I still feel like it's tough to call. Right now, Gonzaga does have those 2 losses, but I do like what Duke has brought to the table, and the same for Gonzaga. But again, we have a long season ahead that we're going to see a lot. Hell, to be honest with you, the team that's shocking everybody is the Gators. I don't think, we do see the Gonzaga, we do see what Duke has done, but I ain't gonna lie, like my Gators basketball team is looking pretty solid right now. You know, they've got them a couple wins that has shocked a lot of people so far. Starting off with the FSU win that I was definitely bragging about big time. Now they did take that recent L, but that Ohio State win was huge for Florida as well. So it's a lot of teams in the mix as far as the best team in college, but there are a lot of good teams in college basketball. I'll say that.
Yeah, to wrap it up, I think it's going to be real interesting, you know, who jockey's position, you know, come before conference play gets really, really going. And we'll see who stays on top and who kind of peters off a little bit. But over the course of the season, we'll dissect that more and more, you know, in the coming weeks. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. Please do check out the website, esportsradio.com. You check out the playback on this show and the other shows on the network. Shout out to the chat for talking with us tonight. Also on the website, do check out our Hall of Fame voting. I think we're in the round 32, round 16 stage, so please do check that out and give who you think should be in the IE Sports Hall of Fame this year. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys definitely can find me at Black-813. The Gators football team just hired a new coach, so I'm definitely on it. Been tweeting out. That does show that. Showed
on the side of the Crooks process. I just dropped an episode earlier today discussing the Lincoln Riley hire to USC, Brian Kelly going to LSU, and other things on the episode. So please do check that out. And follow that show on Facebook and Instagram. The Crooks Process, you'll see the CP logo there. And also follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. We'll talk to y'all later. We're out.